everybody, I'm Lara Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. With the border crisis beyond the breaking point, it's more and more clear that inaction by Congress is actually fueling this humanitarian catastrophe. Joining me from the new border wall in New Mexico with her thoughts on the border crisis is an angel mom and founder of angelfamilies.org, Marianne Mendoza. Marianne, thanks for joining us. It's so hot down at the border that we had to put you back in the car because your phone kept cutting off.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it so much. So tell me about what you're doing at the border and about the wall down there. It has very special significance.
Absolutely. I'm an advisory board member for We Build the Wall with Brian Kolbaj, and I've been very excited to be a part of this project because a border security is what this country needs, because the end result are angel families. That's the end result of having unsecured borders. And so this was a very important project for me to be a part of, to go along with my fellow Americans and do the job that Congress is failing to do, and that's protect Americans.
Yeah. And sadly, you know the human toll of illegal immigration better than anyone. Aren't border states, Marianne, paying the price as they endure more crime and drugs because of the inaction of lawmakers in Washington?
They're inundated with these illegal aliens coming in. They're overwhelming the detention centers, the food supplies, the hospitals. Everything is being inundated in these border cities and states. However, a lot of these illegal aliens are being flown to the interior of the United States. So it's almost as if every state is now a border state in our country because of the inaction of Congress.
Yeah, it's really scary stuff. Obviously, the president is fighting every single day to try and fix this problem. A new Gallup poll shows a record high 23% of Americans say that immigration is actually their top concern, and 26% say that the government is the problem. Now, don't you think more people understand that we have a crisis now because of President Trump's unwavering commitment to fix it and address this problem and talk about it like we know he does all the time?
Absolutely. I mean, he talked about it through his whole campaign. He is the only person who brought this issue to light and wasn't afraid to talk about it. And that's what was so appealing about him to the American people, because the issues that our politicians want to sweep under the rug and act like they don't exist is the very things that President Trump talks about.
Yeah.
This money for border security has been earmarked since the Reagan years. And when you think about the decades that our congressional leaders have been sweeping this under the rug, refusing to address it, and President Trump kind of brought them to task and said, now's the time to do it. And we have got to stand behind him. Unfortunately, you have the ACLU and you've got all of these pro-illegal groups that constantly file lawsuits that prevent our great president from getting the job done that he promised us he'd do. And if these people would just move out of the way and let him do the job to make America safe again, it would be happening, and we wouldn't be in the middle of this crisis.
Yeah, that's right. He's ready to do something now. He just said the other day, he thinks that if Congress wanted to do something about this, if they came to the table, they could get a solution in 15 minutes, but they want to play politics. And it's shocking, but the Mexican government has actually done more in 2 weeks to combat the border crisis than Congress has done in years. What did you think of the president's plan to impose tariffs on Mexican goods in order to force their hand? Because I thought it was rather brilliant.
It was, and look at what it's done. I mean, we've had some of our reporters on the other side of this mountain here where we've built a wall where there's a gap between the DHS wall and the mountain that we've built up to. And they said federales are there, the Mexican Marines, and they're stopping the illegals from coming across the border. So obviously his plan works. He's a brilliant man. He knows what he's doing. And I trust in him 100%. I just wish that our congressional leaders would take these antiquated immigration laws and go to work every day doing that, instead of going into work every day, finding a new way to attack our president for the job that he's doing and the job that they're not doing. And that's what the American people need to understand. These congressional leaders that we pay their salary to are not doing their job.
No, they're not. They're supposed to be in Washington, D.C. to represent all of us around the country. And unfortunately, they're more interested in appeasing Nancy Pelosi than their constituents around the country. Now, It's so frustrating for me, Marianne, but the Democrats constantly attack the president about family separation at the border. But what you never hear about is it's been a policy in the United States since 1997 that was also implemented by President Obama. Now, shouldn't they focus on working with the president to solve this crisis instead of just trying to make it sound like he's this horrible person who implemented a policy which we understand has been in effect for about 22 years now?
Yes, and what Congress needs to do is take responsibility for what they've created, because they're encouraging these people to come here by continually spouting off their distaste for our president. They're against everything he's doing, which is allowing these people from other countries to think these politicians are there to protect us and encourage us. They're aiding and abetting, and they are not doing anything to protect the American people. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted. I just wish that they would understand, why aren't they protecting you and I, Laura? Why didn't they protect my son?
Right.
They're going out of their way and tripping over themselves to do anything and everything to protect these illegal aliens who are illegally present in our country and causing the mayhem and chaos that they are.
Yeah, well, you pointed out that they're encouraging, the Democrats in many cases are encouraging people to come here. They also are big proponents of sanctuary cities, sanctuary states. We now see that California is funding health care for illegal immigrants. They understand, I think the sad thing is that people come and make this dangerous, treacherous journey where many die. A third of the women are sexually assaulted on their way up. We just saw this horrific photo of a father and his daughter drowned trying to cross the Rio Grande. And it's thanks to the Democrats for saying, you know what, here's some great incentives to come on over to the United States. And to your point, we're going to be here to protect you whenever you get to the U.S. It's not right. It's not fair to these people who are making this dangerous trip north. It's not fair to the American citizens, especially American citizens like a homeless population that we know is out of control, especially in states like California. Why aren't we taking care of our people first? But sadly, this is the new reality with the Democrats. I think the good news, Marianne, is that the majority of Americans, I think, understand why the president is so strong in this. And don't you think they feel like he is out there fighting for us every single day, especially on this issue?
Absolutely. And at what point do we place responsibility on these illegal aliens who are crossing the Rio Grande with their small children? There has to be blame placed on the person who's creating that catastrophe from happening, that terrible thing from happening. But this whole thing, I was watching yesterday where congressional leaders were berating our Border Patrol and asking them, why aren't you providing toothbrushes and soap? I would love to see the day that a congressional committee had Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Dianne Feinstein, and Kamala Harris before a committee, asking them why they're not providing toothbrushes and soap for the homeless veterans lining the streets in California and the homeless Americans that they were elected to protect. But the other point I want to make is, if these detention centers are so bad that the Democrats are calling them concentration camps, why are these people flooding over our Florida to come to these detention centers if they're so bad? They're 10 times better than their living conditions from where they're coming from.
The hypocrisy never ceases to amaze, does it? On so many fronts. But Marianne, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry we had you out in the heat. We couldn't get you right in front of the wall because your phone was breaking. But thank you so much for the great support for the president, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.
The American people know President Trump is 100% committed to solving the border crisis. Now it's time for the Democrats in Congress to step up to be a part of the solution before more American families pay the price for their inaction. That's the real news for today. I'm Lara Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.